Hello, my darlings, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Despina, and if you are new here, hello and welcome. It's so good to have you all here. This channel is all about lifestyle and leveling up that lifestyle. If you've been following me for some time, we are now on episode 4 of season 2 of my podcast, the Despina podcast, which I will link down below. In today's episode 13, I have spoken to highly sensitive person expert and guru Alissa Boyer. And by far, this was probably my favorite interview that I've ever done because I realized that I am a sensitive person, about a year ago, and it's really helped me understand who I am as a person. And no, I'm not afraid to share that, and you shouldn't be either. 15 to 20% of the population are considered to be HSPs, which just stands for highly sensitive person. And it isn't like these people cry all the time and they're super duper emotional. All it means is that you process emotions differently than others. So in today's episode, we will be discussing everything to do with how you can learn to cope with your overexcited nervous system and ways to deal with anxiety, depression, the importance of setting a routine. That's so important, and all of that kind of good stuff to deal with just being just trying to cope with being overwhelmed in a period in a life where everything's happening. You've got COVID and the vaccines and the lockdowns and the added stress of it's hard to find employment these days, just on top of our usual challenging lives. So without further ado, let's get into this episode. As usual, if you enjoyed it, give it a big thumbs up, hit the subscribe button and the bell button, and let's get going. I think you touched on this before, but how important is the mind-body connection? And why is it extra important for those of us who are highly sensitive?
Yeah, it's very important for sure. And I think just because, just as we're sensitive, we're sensitive in every way. So our body can give us a lot of signals and alert us to things. And it's important for us to understand that the body and mind are connected. So actually being able to use your body as like a compass is something I really like. Like, for instance, say you have a job interview and, you get a kind of a pit in your stomach as you're talking to the person, you kind of get a bad vibe about it. And actually using that as maybe information that you use to make a decision. Oh, you know what? I just have a weird feeling about this. I can't really explain it logically, but my body is telling me this. I think that's a really powerful way highly sensitive people can, tap into the wisdom of your body and help that, or allow that to help you in your life. And also mind to body. So again, managing stress, because if you're stressed out constantly, you're going to get yourself into that fight or flight mode, and that wreaks havoc on your body. If you're in that state for too long, it can mess up your digestion, all of the things. So it's important that we really are putting on that armor and doing the things to calm ourselves, because then we can just navigate life just in a much calmer, more peaceful way.
Okay. I want to talk about medication for highly sensitive people. It's a really controversial topic. I don't know. Would you suggest that, or are you kind of just do what kind of works for you, or what's your view?
Yeah, I think it's individual, because I think, there are certain there's a reason medicine was created. So I think there are certain depression or mental disorders where it's it really is needed for that person chemically. So I think it just depends on the situation. But the truth is, for HSPs, we're more sensitive to everything, including medication. So I think it's important for us to have that knowledge about ourselves and know that we might need to start on a lower dose. And I actually wrote an article about this for the website Highly Sensitive Refuge.
Okay.
And it was about why we need to like inform our medical practitioner that we're an HSP. And there's like
I'm
this
just
whole
gonna
thing.
cut in a sorry.
Oh, no, you're
I
good.
told my practitioner that I am, and she's kind of like, what's that? And I had to like show her. And I feel as
Mm-hmm.
though a lot of people in Australia, it's probably more prevalent over there. Like, but they're like, what is that? So
Mm-hmm.
she did not understand what I was trying to tell her. So
Yeah.
how do you tell them that you are?
Yeah, that, and I think it's very underknown even here as well. So that was kind of the premise of that article, was about, yeah, how to explain it. And so this woman, she's a psychotherapist for HSPs. I forget exactly her title. She created like a form letter for HSPs to give to their practitioner that explains the trait. So it's very much like print it out, bring it, so that they understand what it is. It also explains it in scientific terms. So it's very much like
Okay,
in that kind of language,
that's
which is
really
helpful.
good. That's really, really
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, so that's a big thing, because yeah, it's kind of unfortunate that it's not as well known. I'm hoping that continues to change, and I'm seeing it talked about more and more, because then I think it will be more of just a widely accepted thing, and HSPs will get better treatment, because a lot of times I think, because we're so sensitive, we'll notice an illness in our body before it might even show up on a test. That's another thing. We have like that kind of access to that somatic, intelligence. And so a lot of times HSPs are going to the doctor and they're like, I don't see anything. Like, what are you talking about? And you're like, no, I know something's wrong. So, yeah, definitely a big topic
Mm,
there.
okay. Um, Anxiety. I want to talk about anxiety. For me and the people that I know that are highly sensitive, it's a huge thing. Um, so obviously we are prone to more anxiety, and like, and throw COVID into that, and throw all the extra challenges of the past 2 years. What's the best way to cope with anxiety?
Yeah, so I would take it back to just having those practices in your life that really help you to just get grounded and calm back to yourself. So I'm again like big meditation fan. I struggle with anxiety, but it's so much less since
Mm,
I've really shifted the way I live my life. I'd also throw in there like limiting the amount of added sugars that you have in your diet and limiting the amount of caffeine as well. So, for me, ever since my gut issues, I kind of had to be more mindful of my
mm,
eating. But I noticed that when I have, yeah, added sugars like white refined sugar too much, that will make me get anxious more easily. Same with caffeine. I drink
mm.
coffee, but I have 1 cup. I don't go over that. Also, getting enough sleep. Like these are like basic things, but they
Yeah.
really make a difference.
How much
Yeah.
sleep would you recommend? I like to get 8 to 9 a night
Mhm.
usually, but do you think that's a good amount or?
Yeah, I would say probably 7 to 9 would probably be good. Definitely, like pretty much every HSP I talk to is like, yeah, I need a lot of sleep. So
Mm,
whatever feels good to you, but yeah, definitely.
yeah, because I've been told that all I do is sleep, and I'm a big sleepyhead, and but I cannot get through the day without sleep. I don't care what anyone says. I don't work well when I am not properly rested.
For sure. I
That's
hear
just
you.
me.
I hear you totally.
um, how important is a routine for a highly sensitive person? I feel as though routines are either like make or break.
Yeah, I think it's important, and I think it's important to have a routine that works specifically for you and not just like what you read online that someone tells you need to do. That was like big for me. And so again, like some people are better with something that's more structured and rigid every single day. Other people like a little bit of flow. I'm a person who likes a little bit of flow. But I'm still very consistent, and every single morning I do these same things, but it doesn't necessarily have to be in the same order. And I'm also like open to switching things up. But I think routine is good for sensitive people, and just having practices they know every day are going to be supportive for them. And I think too, an important thing for HSPs is to like make sure you're creating enough space in your day. So if your day is like back to back to back to back with meetings and things like that, like if there are ways to create pockets of time so you're not so just like stuck and, going, I think that's also very important.
Okay. So how can we develop a routine then? Like, what's the best way? Is it more like around our work schedules? But like, what's
Mhm.
the best way to develop a routine?
I think it's important to think of like play around with it and know that
Mm.
it might evolve, but try things that you're interested in. So maybe for a week you try meditating for 5 minutes, and then you try, doing 1 page of journaling, and you do a walk or something like that, and kind of play around with it and just try it for a week, see what you like, see what you don't like, and know that you can change it. Maybe you decide you want to go for a run first thing in the morning rather than meditating first thing. Maybe you decide you want to do some breath work or EFT tapping. I think it's like important to just allow yourself to be kind of flexible. So, and that's why I say too that like it's about what feels good to you rather than like what you just see online or something like that. Because, someone might say, well, you need to wake up at 5 a.m. and do this. But a person might be like, no, I need to sleep till 7 a.m. and maybe have a shorter time doing my routine, but I need more sleep. So just like knowing, kind of feeling into it.
Mm. Okay. That's really cool. Would you consider yourself to be a morning person or not?
I'm definitely a morning person. I
Mm,
love
I'm not,
mornings. No.
but I'm trying. I don't know if you know this, but the best sleep you can get is between 10 p.m. and 12. So
Oh,
I think it's worth 2 hours for each hour.
wow.
So my gastroenterologist told me I have to be in bed every night by 10 p.m. maximum. Now, I'm the kind of person that will stay up till 2 doing my
Uh,
uni work, working, but like I tend to focus better. But then when I
mhm.
change things around, I now get up between 6 and 7. I also feel as though that also works better. So I don't know
Mhm.
about that, but that's actually very interesting.
Yeah.
Um, what habits do HSPs need to be happy? I feel as though we struggle to be happy more than other people.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a common thing. I think because of just we're like taking on a lot and getting, yeah, overwhelmed more easily. So can pose challenges. Habits, I would say, I think it's important for us to have people in our life that we can communicate with regularly, that we have that kind of emotional support. I find that really important. I think my life would just feel kind of empty if I didn't have that. So I think that's important, just having people you can talk to regularly and have those deep conversations, because I think we kind of have a craving for that. And so that definitely adds fulfillment. I'm a very creative person, and I
Me
noticed like my
too.
happiness. Yeah, I just noticed myself being so much happier when I was creative regularly. So for me, that's like a non-negotiable habit I need to have. And that can look different for every person. I know a lot of HSPs that are like super into gardening and love like, having this beautiful garden. So, just like some sort of hobby that is just pure enjoyment. Um, Also, like if people can get in near water, water tends to be very healing and soothing for HSPs. So, if that can be kind of a habit where you're, even if it's like taking a bath a couple nights a week or something like that. Also, just like self care, whatever that looks like for you, prioritizing that and making that a habit, like having a nice wind down routine before you go to bed, meditating, essential oils, like things like that. I think it's just important to have those practices that make us just feel very supported.
I like that. So what I do is I have a bath every night. And
Mm.
in the bath, I meditate for like 20 minutes. If I don't do that, I don't sleep properly.
Yeah.
So for me, that bedtime routine has to be done every day. Let's talk about love. It
Uh-huh.
can seem really overwhelming because I find as though HSPs tend to fall really quickly and like head over heels kind of thing. So, what are some tips you can give those who want to find love but are scared to like venture out and they're scared that, oh my God, I'm gonna fall too quickly and like and scare the person off and stuff?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's definitely there's the self-trust factor. So kind of you want to come at it with a place from a place of self-trust. So hopefully, I would say that's a good kind of like ground place to be at. But also just being able to know that you can protect yourself. I think a lot of times we're putting our happiness and experience into other people's hands, and so I think it always comes down to like being secure with ourselves first before getting into situations, because sensitive people can be very prone to, yeah, falling for the wrong people, or letting our empathy get the best of us and then letting people get away with things that they shouldn't get away with.
Mm,
So I think it's important to have that like level of self-worth and understanding before you're getting into going out on dates and things like that, because yeah, we can be more susceptible to that. And also like it's learning experiences. So if you do have a situation that is tough and crappy and not what you want, like knowing that, okay, forgive yourself, move forward, knowing you can make a better decision next
mm.
time.
Should you tell the person that you're going out with if you are a HSP or not?
I think it depends. Like if you feel comfortable,
Mm,
then yeah, I think it's like an interesting conversation. And I'm all about like kind of the energy behind it. So it's like if it's something that you just like feel, it's not like you're like apologetic about it, but you're more like, oh yeah, this is just like kind of who I am. This is, saying it in a conversational way, I think can be good.
mm.
It doesn't have to be like this whole big thing, like, oh my gosh, so I'm highly sensitive. So, you can say it in a way that is like just a conversation.
Yeah,
But I think it's important to come at it from like a confident place and not like apologetic, if that
yeah.
makes sense.
Would you tell your friends that you are one?
Yeah, I think again, it's kind of the same. It's like, this is just like part of me. And I think, you, it can be hard because you might feel like you're saying that. So then, like, a lot of people might be afraid that people will change towards them and be like, oh, I need to tiptoe around you. So I think it just depends again on your friends and if you feel comfortable sharing it, and
Mm,
and if you think it will help your friendship,
mm,
become deeper. Because I think if we're authentic and vulnerable, then we can deepen our relationships. So I think talking about, yeah, who we are is always a good thing.
I think so too. Yeah. Um, I don't know if it was you, but I saw on your Instagram that you moved to a different state.
Mm-hmm.
Now what I want to kind of get to the root of, is it too overwhelming for a HSP to move country or move state or move out by themselves? Like, what's your view on that?
I think that my view is that I want to be able to just like do what I want, and I have the viewpoint that the world is going to be what it's going to be, but I can always have control over myself and how I respond to things. And so I always want to have like an empowered position towards it. Like
Mm,
I can go live my life and I don't want it to hold me back personally. And that's what I try to teach to other HSPs too. It's like can't control what's happening around us, and we don't have to just like stay at home and be afraid. Like we can go out and do cool things, but you have to like take good care of yourself. So yeah, I do think people can absolutely do that. And I moved, yeah, when I was 22. I didn't have any friends here. I had like barely made any money. Like it was kind of crazy, but it was like the greatest life lessons, and it was totally overwhelming at times. And this is when I got my digestive issues, but made it through. And so yeah, I think it absolutely we can. But it just depends on the person and if they want to,
mm.
and
Well, I've been trying to move overseas from just before COVID began. I found the whole process so overwhelming, like
Oh
from
yeah.
the flights to the finances to the visas. It was all so overwhelming for me.
Oh my
But
gosh. Yeah, no, that's a lot with country.
it's
too.
still
That's more complicated.
it's still a big plan for me. And I don't think that just because I'm highly sensitive that I can't do it.
We'll figure it out.
I know. What's the best piece of advice you have for highly sensitive person? Would you say like trust yourself? Would you say seek help? Or what's your best piece of advice?
Yeah. You know, I do think I would say trust yourself and trust the way that you feel, because I think a lot of our ability to thrive and like feel good and accept ourselves comes from trusting the way that we feel
Mm,
and accepting it. And I know that's not easy to do, and it takes time for us, especially if there's just been a lot of conditioning. But yeah, like you can trust the way that you are, and also just, the message that there's nothing wrong with you, and there are so many other people out there that feel the same way as you do. I know for me that was like such a game changer when I understood that. I'm like, okay, I'm not crazy or weird. Like there are other people.
that's really cool. Yeah. All right. Where can people find you online?
Yeah, I'm really active on my Instagram, which is Life by Alissa. And there I have all of the links to my membership. I have, yeah, like free meditation, quiz, lots of things. I have a website, lifebyalissa.com. I'm currently updating that. So it's like not where I want it to be, but that's another place. So yeah, I think you did a very thorough job. I feel like we covered a lot of ground. So
Yeah, I really want to thank you so much for coming on. This has probably been the most incredible chat that I've ever had. Like, I learned a lot.
oh,
So, yeah, thank you
oh,
so much.
wow. Yay. Thank you for having me. It was so fun. Appreciate it.
Oh,
And I'll send those links over to you too.
okay. Thanks so much, Alissa. Thank you.
All right. Awesome.
All
I'll
right.
talk to you soon.
Bye. See
Bye.
ya. Hello, my darlings, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Despina, and if you are new here, hello and welcome. It's so good to have you all here. This channel is all about lifestyle and leveling up that lifestyle. If you've been following me for some time, we are now on episode 4 of season 2 of my podcast, the Despina Cup podcast, which I will link down below. In today's episode 13, I have spoken to highly sensitive person expert and guru Alissa Boyer. And by far, this was probably my favorite interview that I've ever done, because I realized that I am a sensitive person, excuse me, about a year ago. And it's really helped me understand who I am as a person. And no, I'm not afraid to share that. And you shouldn't be either. 15 to 20% of the population are considered to be HSPs, which just stands for highly sensitive person. And it isn't like these people cry all the time and they're super duper emotional. All it means is that you process emotions differently than others. So in today's episode, we will be discussing everything to do with just trying to determine if you are a highly sensitive person, how you can learn to cope with your overexcited nervous system, and ways to deal with anxiety, depression, the importance of setting a routine. That's so important, and all of that kind of good stuff to deal with just being just trying to cope with being overwhelmed in a period in a life where everything's happening. You've got COVID and the vaccines and the lockdowns and the added stress of it's hard to find employment these days, you know, just on top of our usual challenging lives. So this episode is really good for those that if you think that you are a highly sensitive person, but you're not quite sure and you're embarrassed, by the way, there's no need to be embarrassed whatsoever. It's entirely normal, and we should try to be as vulnerable as we can when it comes to our friends and those that we care about, because that really allows us to form deep and meaningful relationships. So without further ado, let's get into this episode. As usual, if you enjoyed it, give it a big thumbs up, hit the subscribe button and the bell button, and let's get going. I suggest getting a pen and a paper because this is going to be a long one. I love you all.